Here's 12 tips on how to ignite your creativity. That's one for every hour on the clock. Cooking is exactly like creativity. Everyone understands how to cook and everybody can make a meal, but what's your unique recipe? Let's take a stir fry for example. What are you adding to give it that extra little bit of flavor? How are you combining all the different ingredients? What's the main focus of the dish? You can start to see how all these different choices differentiate your stir fry from everyone else's. That's because it's your stir fry. Creativity is not something that just happens. You have to work on it and continually improve over and over and over again. In a large RPG like Pokemon, you start out with a low-level monster and you can battle low-level enemies, but time after time you will improve and get better. Your monster will start getting stronger, your moveset increases, your ability to adapt to situations increases, you evolve. Compare that to Flappy Bird. Do you remember Flappy Bird? Essentially, everything's presented to you at the start and you never expand your skill set. Like the classic saying, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So don't be disheartened if you can't create that mammoth thing straight away. Step by step, bit by bit, train yourself and your Pokemon, and your creativity will improve. Rubberducking is a reference to the pragmatic programmer, in which a programmer had a rubber duck and he would debug his code by forcing himself to explain it to the duck line by line. It's also the same principle as Eli 5 or explain like I'm 5. Basically, you need to be able to communicate your idea in a really simple, clear and concise way. If you can't, there's a pretty high chance that your idea is too tricky to communicate to an audience. It doesn't mean that the idea should lack nuance and detail, but being able to express that idea in a simple way is incredibly useful. It focuses your thoughts and idea onto that key point that you're trying to explore. And by focusing your attention on that, your creativity has something to latch onto and grow from. Creativity is a muscle, a sexy, sexy muscle. And Kegels are an exercise for your sexy muscles. So do your brain Kegels. It's a creative muscle, so strengthen it. Put the reps in. Contrary to regular Kegels, this doesn't make your creativity harder for longer. It's actually the complete opposite. Think outside the box. What if the shoe was on the other foot? These are great reminders to look past the easy ideas and see what else is out there. I like to say the shoe is outside the box. Kind of like when you're at a shoe store and you see all of the display shoes, it's just one. And to try them on, you need to get them to get the box from out the back so you can try the pair. So you have to ask the question, can I try these on? The reason you try them on is because you don't know if the shoes fit. But you're asking the question, and that's what matters. Same thing happens with creativity. You could have a whole wardrobe full of creative shoes, but which one fits the foot at hand? Challenge the brief and see what you come up with. Question everything. Everything. If the answer is, it's the best it can be, then well done, congratulations, you've finished creativity. But chances are there's probably a different way of thinking about or approaching something. So why not entertain those ideas? Naturally, you will hit a point where you can't push forward with any of those other options. It might be time or budget constraints. It might be you've given all that you can for now. And after all, done is better than perfect. But by interrogating everything and asking what can be done differently, in both good and bad circumstances, you'll only serve to improve and refine your processes. I'm no farmer, and I realize every sentence that starts that way is off to a bad start. But I understand the use of silos. In agriculture, they're used to store bulk materials. Tower silos, in fact, pack particularly well due to their weight and height. Why am I telling you this? You should make time silos. Time silos! Make uninterrupted space. Ignore everybody. Go into your zone and load up your focus on the creative task at hand. You'll find that focus time compounds. The momentum you generate by focusing means you'll do more and get more done. So siloing by soloing will surely show you solutions to stagnant situations. Whew. There's no such thing as a bad idea. Any idea that isn't quite right gets you closer to one that does work or shows you what not to do. If you can't learn to fail, you are failing to learn. These bad ideas never have to go beyond a scrawl on a piece of paper or a comment made in a safe space. Just make sure that the people you are collaborating with are supportive of the brainstorming process. Don't judge any of those ideas because a bad idea can prompt a new way of thinking or a change in direction that ultimately spurs on a new creative solution. Conversely, Perfect ideas don't really exist either. There may be ideas that wildly exceed expectations, but by closing yourself off to even further improvement can be really dangerous. You should never stop learning or growing, so be open to ideas that you might not know or comprehend yet. I have terrible ideas all the time. You just don't get to see them. You only see the good ones. Ask why a lot. Why are you making something? And why is that? And why should that exist? And why is that important? If you can answer the why with a compelling reason, you have sharpened the creative arrow you're about to fire. You know why you're making something, and that is important. So realign with that every single time. Sharing what you know is pretty common advice, but let's break down why it's so important. You have experience or knowledge that provides an insight no one else can have. That makes you an authority on that experience. You can share what you've done and how you've done it. No one can question that. And they will, because people are good at poking holes in stuff. You can be comforted by the fact that it's yours, and only you can speak to it with the same knowledge, experience, and insight. You don't need to introduce another element to the creative process by creating around something you know nothing about. That's only going to end in disappointment. Being creative can suck. It's not like a tap where you can just turn it on and fresh ideas freely flow. Sometimes it's a barren wasteland with no hope in sight. And that's okay. It's not always going to be that way. So let it suck. Work through the challenge and learn from it. Lots of things that are also incredibly rewarding can suck. It doesn't take away from the satisfaction of having done it, just that the process might be uncomfortable or challenging throughout. Finally, you are a creative person. Just by existing, you are accessing your own creativity every single day. It's problem solving, it's a funny observation, it's coming up with an excellent idea for date night or buying a really unique gift for someone you love. By being open to the idea that you are creative, you've already unlocked that ability. If you just say, "Oh, I'm not really creative," all that negative energy just stops you from ever even trying. You are creative, so let yourself be. So they're my 12 tips to being creative. Much like the clock that inspired them, I hope they're all very handy. If you found this video useful, please like it, subscribe, and leave a comment down below that just says, "Clock on, Matty." Bye. And contrary to regular Kegels, it doesn't make creativity harder for longer. It's the complete opposite. Ben like that. Ben like that. Lol, 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 lol. That's funny, if I do say so myself.